Hi, Sagittarius. This is Lee at Fresh Astrology. How are you? Welcome. We are looking at your November 2019. Before we get started, I have an announcement about my website. The old website has been taken down, and my new website address is leesears.com. I'll type it in the comments, but I also have it in the description below. But here, just so you can see it visually. That is the new address. So if you go there, you'll see that I have something called a membership lounge. It's something you join, for the year, and you get the monthly forecast first. I already have November up there and about half of 2020. And so you'll get the monthlies first, the annual forecast period. I won't be doing the same extensive annual forecast here. And then weekly forecasts, some basic astrology lessons. And what else do we have? You have the opportunity each month to be chosen for a free reading. So come join us there. It's kind of like a private space, but it's just like YouTube in the sense that you see videos and you can comment and ask questions there. So come join us. And also, what else? I also put a link to my other company, Camille, which is where we have online courses. I sometimes talk about my coaching stuff. You'll see some of that there if you're interested. So Sagittarius, let's look at your month. I'm focusing in this forecast. The one inside the lounge is different. So here I'm picking 4 aspects, transits to talk about. And so on November 5th, we have Mars square Pluto. And for you, when this is happening, you have Mars in Libra, which is in your 11th house. And Saturn and Pluto are in Capricorn, which is your 2nd house. What you may have been feeling, Sagittarius, for a number of years is that your whole career zone has been completely transforming for at least a decade, maybe a little more. And so I think most of you are cognizant of this. Like if you just look back a decade and then beyond that, you can see how far you've come and what kind of transformation has been taking place. Something as a result of this is happening for you coming up in 2020. There's sort of a culmination as a result of the past 10, 11 years. But what's significant here, there's several things going on this month, but one is this Mars square transit. So what might that mean for you? It depends on where you are in life. I have a child who's a Sagittarius, so it's harder to see, exactly for this child, what it's meant, although I can kind of make sense of it, as a mom and as an astrologer too. I can kind of put 2 and 2 together and see how it works. But, if you're really young and you haven't really started your career yet, something about your career has been forming. It's been in formation over the last 10 years. So if you're like a teenager or in college, you have definitely, whatever you choose to do, has definitely been shaped in a powerful way based on the Pluto transit to your 2nd house of career. So it's absolutely shaping what your career will be, even if you haven't started a career yet. If you have been working for a number of years, you'll most likely be able to look back at the last 10 years and really see how much it's transformed from, say, 15 years ago, 16, 17 years ago. And so whatever's happening now is a direct result of that. If you're retired, because a lot of people, say, oh, I'm not working anymore, maybe you retired early. There's still something here for you because the 11th house where Mars has directly to do with how you go out into the world and kind of trying to think of the best way to describe this. It's where you meet the world in terms of your actions, how you give back. It's not just where you have your ideals and you meet the world in the ninth house. This is 11th house is more action oriented, how you go out into the world, take your ideas and move them out into the world, kind of in a more statesman-like way, less like this is my career, I earn money doing this. You might earn money doing this, but that's the thing, you don't have to. So this is often where you can see people volunteering. It doesn't have to be for anything charitable. It could just be like they volunteer for an association of some kind, just to help it, something that's nonprofit-ish. So it's how you move out into the world to change the world. So even if you're retired, there's still an opportunity for you in your lifetime to help impact the world. Some of you actually have, with the North Node in the 8th house, it could be that you feel challenged to do what you want to do to help the world. So sometimes people think, I don't have enough money to do that. I'm at a disadvantage myself, so therefore I can't help the world. How could I possibly do that? Some of you may be suffering a little bit under that perception. And I would challenge you on that. If I was working with you, one-on-one, we'd be, questioning that. And then some of you may have actually the resources where you could take your resources and use them somehow. But there may be fear around doing that. Like, I don't know if I should do that, or it scares me to give resources over. But some of you may be wondering how you might do that if you actually do have the resources to do something like that. You may be working on that. How do I nurture the bigger us, the we, the planet? How do I do that with, you may have some idea like these are limited resources, or I don't want to hurt myself, which is valid, totally valid. So you may just be working with that. Like it may, in some cases, prevent you from doing something. And then some of you may even be too generous with what you have and need to nurture your finances for yourself. So there, along that continuum of stuff, somewhere that's where you sit. And but the major message, the bigger message here is there is something you can do, and something you may even feel energized around, that can, based on your daily work, what you do every day, even to make money, that you could find a way to use what you do each day, find a way to make money doing something that can put your energy back out into the world. Most especially Sagittarius really looks out into the world. Kind of the way you see the world is you want justice for all. You really you have a sense of fairness, an innate sense of fairness for the world, for not just for yourself, but you do for yourself too, but you really look out into the world, and you want it to be a fair place. And that may sound like, well, doesn't everybody want that? And on some level, yeah, but you really do. So with Mars here, you may be especially energized around, I want to see fairness in the world. I want to see equality. I want to see resources, distributed evenly. Why are there so many, have-nots? Why is there such a disparity? I don't know how it's coming across to you, but there's some version of that. And where the challenge is for you is some of you may be judging yourself harshly around what you do. Like, am I doing enough? Is what I've chosen to do enough? Am I helping the world enough? Some of you may be taking on kind of a bigger, like, savior kind of mentality, out of a good place, out of a big heart, out of a desire to help the world and others. But sometimes you may feel like it's all up to you. And while I do believe right now that each person is here right now on the planet to contribute. It doesn't mean one person has to take all the burden. It means everybody does. So keep that in mind, that just as much as I do believe you're here with a purpose to help, so is everyone else, including the people you want to help. So there's no, I don't know if maybe if you look at it that way, it helps, but there may be some challenge here where you feel like I can't do enough to, it may seem overwhelming, like, or, how could I, just me, this one little person, doing what I do each day, like, how can I possibly do enough to help? Some of you may be feeling that way. Or some of you may be feeling like really energized, like you know exactly how you're going to funnel your work into the world to help. So some of you may, you're like on different sides of the equation or the coin, looking at it in different ways, depending on how old you are and, where you think you are financially, or whether or not you think the day job you're doing counts for much in terms of helping. So it just depends on where you sit, but it's some version of that. That's what that square is all about. But just keep in mind that it's all perception. So if you're being hard on yourself or hard on your situation, remember that it's your perception. You can shift it. Then on the 12th, we had the full moon, and a lot of this stuff is linked. Like these aren't separate issues. They're all kind of together. So for you, the full moon is hitting across your 12th house, 6th house axis. And just looking, it's also connected and connecting to that 2nd house, Pluto, Saturn. So this full moon connects and points directly at, the 2nd house where Saturn and Pluto are. So how is this feeding into that same dynamic? Well, perhaps you have the opportunity this month to see, because the 12th house is very inward, where the sun is right now for you. Or by now, I mean at this point in the month. And the moon is going through your 6th house of how you spend your day, your schedule, your health, maybe the health of others. So maybe some health issues around, with others. So especially, given what we were talking about just now with what you do each day and can you make a difference, if you have people around you who are sick that you need to care for, that may feel like that even adds to your challenge. Like, how can I possibly, with all the stuff I have to do each day, et cetera, this just is so hard to carry all this. And in that case, I would suggest, maybe you see mid-month, maybe you have to put something down. You can't carry all that. No one person's supposed to carry all that. So maybe you have to put something down. But there could be, with the light of the full moon, you can either see something you couldn't see before, or something comes to fruition. So it could be, sometimes this little 12th house area can show like that you've gone away on a retreat or some kind of restorative kind of trip. So maybe there's like a culmination with that, like you've gone and it's ending, or you can go somewhere that you need to go, if that fits your situation. But it's all very internal. A lot of this is very internal. So it's self-reflection, being able to see something internally. With Mercury also here at this point, still in retrograde, it definitely could be, there could be a lot of mental reflection and memory, and maybe through all that, you see things in a new light, which is always interesting, I don't think this, well, okay, let me just link it to the 2nd house for you. So if you see something in a new light and it's linked to the 2nd house, this can definitely throw light on your value system, what you value, what's important to you, which feeds in again to that, what's important to me? How am I going to bring that into what I do each day? How does that go into what I spend money on, or the company I earn money from? Or, it's, if you own your own company, how is my company giving back? Does my work reflect my values, is a question many of you may be asking. And sometimes what happens is when our work or whatever we're doing on a daily basis doesn't reflect our values enough, we start to feel sick and anxious and a lot of weird symptoms. And you now have Uranus in your 6th house of health. So some of you may be feeling like, this just isn't close enough. It's close, but not close enough to what I need to be doing, because my body's telling me, all these symptoms are telling me I'm just feeling off. So some of you may be feeling that way. Oh, wait. Okay. So I'm checking in with you guys. I've been looking at the charts. I haven't seen your stuff. Are the career stuff and money issues connected? I would say yes. Go with God 100% intact. Says, do you work for free? Well, is that your question that you ask yourself, or are you asking me? What I do here on YouTube is free for you guys, but I don't, spend my time freely working for free other than this. But this is what I do here is free for sure. I'm an actor, so auditioning sometimes feels like working for free. Yeah. I mean, you can look at it that way, definitely. And I could see where it would be very human to look at it that way, but it's part of the cost of being in that industry. It's part of the cost of doing what you do. So you could just frame it like an opportunity. But I understand what you mean. I do understand what you mean. And you want to be careful, I guess, that you balance that. Like, I wouldn't, be careful which auditions you agree to. Yeah. So, yeah, working for free. So my point is around this, someone's talking about like, do I work for free? And the point is that you shouldn't. I'm not saying, oh, you guys need to work for free. You now need to forsake all income and go work for free. That's not the point of this at all. That's not what I mean to say. I was pointing out that if someone's retired or doesn't need to work, that they're not off the hook with what the skies are asking, or what the universe is asking, or what God is asking. That even if you feel you don't have to work for money, there's stuff you can do in the world, and in fact may be required, and you're here to do. You may have a specific soul purpose right here, right now, to go do something in the world. And if you don't need the money, you may opt to do something for free. So that's what the free stuff is about. I'm not saying, oh, all you Sagittariuses, you need to now go work for free. I'm saying kind of the opposite of that. But for people who don't need the money, or you don't have to work for free to do good in the world. That's sometimes what people can start to equate weird things like this equals that. Doing good in the world does not equal necessarily earning less money. In fact, that's a very important thing to understand. Doing good in the world can also equal making good money. And that's something really important to know, that you can do. There are plenty of examples I could point to. You can do a lot of good in the world and make a lot of money. So you don't have to be poor to do good in the world. And that's something that maybe we need to have a bigger discussion on, but it's absolutely true, because we could come up with a zillion examples of people who do a lot of good in the world and have a lot of good influence, but they also do quite well materially. It's okay to be comfortable. So I was definitely not telling you to work for free, just so you know. Don't think that. Then we have November 24th, Venus conjunct Jupiter. Let's look at that. So again, this is really nice for you, I think. I think this is a month when a lot of good things are happening and coming together for you, or certainly there is that potential, because Jupiter and Venus are coming together in your sign. first of all, which is really lovely. It's your birth time of, birthday for some of you. And the sun has come in, by the 24th, the sun is newly in your sign. And then you have this lovely conjunction of Jupiter and Venus. So, and it's close enough, it's really close to the threshold of your second house. So it's very personal to you. Something nice happens for you. And you really, if you need to present yourself well and come across well, the 24th is a great day for you to do that. People will see you in a very good light. And because it's so close to the threshold of the second house, you can read it in there. And it's a time when a really interesting career opportunity could come to you. And if it does, it very well could have a lot of money associated with it. It's a great time to look for a job, a great time to be putting yourself out there, because there's a lot of good luck potential here for you. Certainly people, like if you need to make a good impression, this is your window right here. Not that you wouldn't otherwise make a good impression, but this is a great time for you. You just beam out, Jupiter and Venus energy and the sun, at this time on the 24th and around those days. So let's look at the new moon. Let me see if there are any other questions. Oh, okay, got it. Go with God. All right. I just want to make sure I'm clear. Like, I want to know, what I'm saying. Okay, you're being a smart ass. I get it. And you don't need to apologize. I just wanted to make sure, so you were commenting back to someone else. I get it. And sometimes people do get really tense over money, but I'm fine if you're a smart ass. I don't care about that. And I can appreciate the humor. But I just want to make sure, because sometimes what I'm saying, I'm not sure if it's being heard the right way. So I wanted to make sure that I was being heard. So no worries at all. No worries at all. So let's go back to the new moon. I'm just looking when I'm quiet. I'm just going to have to shift gears and be here for a second. So under this new moon, it's in your sign. So once again, it just points to the end of the month being a time of new starts. I mean, it's normal. Excuse me. I've just got like allergies or dry throat or something. It's normal this time of year for you to have some more energy coming into your sign. It's typical for any sign for whom, it's their birthday time. So it's typical, to get the energy flowing in here, but it's atypical to have Jupiter and then a Jupiter-Venus conjunction also in your sign during the time of a new moon. It just seems like a time of big new starts for you. So what is this? It's right on November 26th at the end of the month. There's some big new start, something revealed, some new pathway. What could it be? I think some of you know kind of where it might be. You kind of know where you're headed. We also have kind of a link here to Uranus. So there could be some surprise changes to what you do each day, what you decide to do. So choices, you might be doing some about faces based on the Mercury retrograde and rethinking some things, really reviewing some things, thinking about your values, how you want to put yourself out into the world. You may be coming to some realizations and conclusions by the end of the month that are very important for you, seemingly in your career and how you earn money. It seems to have to do with that. And it seems to have to do with your values and how you want to put yourself out in the world. And you may have had some important people who could open doors and opportunities for you come into your life, to open those doors. So that you see a pathway there for yourself. So that's, so keep an eye on the time. All right. So unless anybody has any questions here, I don't see anything else. So that is it. It's a big month for you. Big, big month for you. So have a wonderful November. Happy birthday, and I'll talk to you soon.